Hi, good morning, Kevin.
Good morning, Dr. Keelinda. Good morning. Yes, well, I don't know how good your morning is, but mine is just
Oh,
shattered. I have relative that lives in Colorado, not too far from Boulder. Those 10 people were murdered. Did you hear about that
what?
that shooting that happened? Did you hear about the shooting that happened yesterday?
No, no.
Yeah, in a supermarket.
Wait, what? I can't hear you. I'm
Yeah, in a
sorry, you're freezing.
supermarket, a gunman. Okay, I'm freezing. Okay,
Yeah.
any be- any better?
Oh,
Uh-oh.
I just heard you right
Can you
now.
hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, just it had happened last night, but a gunman killed 10 people inside of a supermarket in Colorado yesterday.
Oh my gosh, no.
And he was a 21-year-old
Uh-huh.
person, and I'm trying to find out if he was African American. His name was Ahmad something. But
What?
I'm doing the research right now. I'm looking at the press conference, and
Uh-huh.
they have identified him as a 21-year-old person, and I just hope he's not African American. But
Yeah.
literally, he killed people ranging from age 20 to 65.
Oh
And so,
gosh.
obviously, mental health is at the center of what I know is happening with a lot of young people right now, whether they're
Yeah.
in community college or not,
Yeah.
because this is just an extraordinarily stressful time for a lot of people, and they're not really checking in to see how they can manage
Uh-huh.
their brain function. And
Yeah.
so, anyway, that was at the center of a lot of things that I wanted to talk to you about, and I really wanted to see if we could set up a meeting when we had more time. But I wanted to say that I'm now acting more as a consultant to be to Umoja than trying to be a vendor or
Mhm.
a nonprofit organization, because I think I have some unique perspective on some of the things that I have been witnessing that have been problems with the students that I've worked with over the last 7 years of working in the California community college system,
Mhm.
primarily with students of color.
Mhm.
But when I think about just in my own analysis of what happens when I deal with the young men
Mhm.
and sometimes older men, they don't seem to be as attentive, and they don't seem to be as easy to understand as the young women. And I think there's a reason why I have a certain feeling about what I'm getting ready to establish is why I wanted to talk to you, is because I wanted to really find out from you what was some of the things you can share with me about any problems you guys are trying to address with Emoja, and how you guys are prioritizing those problems in terms of action steps. Those were the questions I had before I saw an article that talked about the data that has been reported
Mhm.
about just the complete loss of enrollment
Yeah. Mhm.
in the community colleges, the 116. Did you see that article?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I saw that yesterday and
Yeah. So
we
you guys,
talked.
yeah,
Oh,
you guys pretty much already knew that problem.
yeah, of course.
You guys pretty much already knew that was the, yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Well, I didn't.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I had no idea that
Mhm.
that kind of data was being collated for you guys to be able to understand what the problem was. Because, only thing I can assume when I look at Emoja's website or
Mhm.
A2Men is that there's an attempt to try to celebrate African American or Black culture within the community colleges, but I had no idea that there was a problem with enrollment, recruitment, retention, and all these other things that
Mhm.
seem to be now reported to people like me. So,
Mhm.
so can you share with me what is it that you guys, and is that really part of what your plan is for this semester and moving forward, is to try to address some milestones to help solve some of these problems? Because that's what I want to try to match up what I do, not you know
Yeah.
notwithstanding any interest I have in continuing my work, but I now want to pivot to where I can be more of a match for the things that I can share with my team.
Okay. Well, I can say that um, what was in the article is all true for what we're contending with. The Umoja program was established at Pierce to help with our retention and persistence efforts for African American students. So within the community college system, we have equity benchmarks that we're supposed to meet, which they call our equity gaps. And so it's the institution's attempt to reduce the gap between the performance of, basically Black, Indigenous, or people of color, also disabled students, LGBTQIA students, as well as foster youth and veterans. So we have all of these different gaps that we're measuring, and we have to reduce the gap between performance of those students and the general population. So Umoja was identified as one of the methods to help reduce the equity gap for African American students. So one of the things that we know from the research is that when students feel a sense of belonging and when they're engaged at the college, meaning that they're actively participating in extracurricular activities, they tend to perform better in their classes. They tend to hang around the college longer and stay and continue to enroll. So the persistence and the retention increases. So when you talk about our website, excuse me, what you are seeing is correct, that we're celebrating African American students, we're celebrating the diaspora, we're celebrating, all that it is to be Black. And that's one intentional effort so that students will feel more included and engaged and at home at the college. But the other thing that may not be as apparent from the website is the proactive measures that we employ to ensure that we recruit students, we retain the students, we help them to persist, and then we transition them on to the four-year college or university of their choice or to industry. So we do not do job placement services. We do not participate in career or a job placement, but we do career exploration. We do academic advising. We do lots of other things. But what we are tasked to do is everything from the beginning to the end. So that's why I will tell you, when I say, I always feel like people from the outside may not understand when I say like, oh, my schedule's booked. It's not that I'm like super important. It's just that my schedule books 2 weeks or more in advance. So the students book appointments it could be 2 to 4 weeks out. So I don't usually have an opportunity to do like meetings or things like that aren't scheduled in advance. Otherwise, I'm sort of shuffling things around because it means I have to meet outside of my work time, which means that I'm moving around personal things or stuff. So, anyways, I wanted to explain that because I wanted you to understand it's not that I don't want to meet or anything like that. It's just a matter of a part of what I do in Umoja is I have to coordinate the program, and then I also serve as the counselor. So I'm helping to have direct student contact with them. And then I'm also coordinating efforts to, like after this meeting at 9 o'clock, I have a recruitment meeting. And then we have an event at 1 o'clock. And before we get to 1 o'clock, I have a student meeting at 10 o'clock. So like everything is back to back. So that's kind of a little bit about what we do and why I always sound like I'm crazed.
Yeah, well, you're wearing a lot of hats, and and I'm kind of looking at what I can do. Um, and I'm really focused right now on what resources I
Mhm,
may have that could blend with your current structure and
mhm,
the way that you service all of these people, counselors, students, and anybody else. Um, because if I can create a pilot that can blend with your existing efforts to create some outcomes,
mhm,
there may be a method to this madness. Because that's all I'm really interested in doing is having a pilot that scales
mhm,
beyond um, um, yeah, I'm not really interested in doing any more experimentation because I've already, kind of done a lot of investigative reporting
Mhm.
to whomever may listen to what I can do to become a provider of opportunities
Mhm.
for students that are more in the area of placement. And if, you said that that's not part of your deliverables. And I'm not sure anybody has any value for that right now. I believe it has a value, but again, if you guys don't determine it has a value, then what am I doing? I'm not trying to usurp anything that's outside of your purview of things that you're, um, again, cast to do.
Mhm.
And so
So
I have, I'm so good. Go ahead.
yeah, no, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, we don't get me wrong, we do have a value for it at the college. It's just that the way that we operate is that's not within my wheelhouse. So job placement and
Oh,
assistance and things like that really runs through our career center. There's an arm of the career center that handles it. So the way that
right,
we're supposed to operate is we're
right.
supposed to put our efforts into the other areas and then refer the students out for that particular service.
Well, and those are the kind of things that I've been looking at as a potential consultant. I've consulted on projects before where
Mhm,
I've seen that the client has a lot of moving parts that somehow don't align or work together to produce
mhm,
a outcome that can be measured against the
mhm.
problem. And
Yeah.
I do understand that community colleges are really more of a bridge to an end state. But
Mhm,
I don't know what the end state could be more um, identified as something that can become an agreed understanding of how I think some of the students I've worked with are really looking for economic opportunities.
mhm,
They're obviously looking for developmental skill set, all the things that help them become better candidates. But
yeah.
I think in concert with all those things, the pipeline of resources could still allow for someone to complete the journey by saying, hey, well, all these things are aligning and articulating to someone who can commit a training program, an apprenticeship program that can make sure that there's no seepage
Mhm,
of resources going to these efforts, these end states. And that's what I'm trying to make a case for, is that I believe I can find some employers who could be part of that end state that could produce, at least at the very least, can produce preparation for these students to get an interview. Can't guarantee anybody's going to get hired, but
right.
we truly believe that people should be able to at least get the experience of preparation. And I think getting an opportunity to get an interview is that the least that they should be expecting. And
Mhm,
so if um, I can establish that that's what I want to use as the bench for any success, is that I can get students into very narrow career pathways that I can deliver interviews for, then I believe I'm going to get better at trying to find out where those talents are, especially in the Southern California region, with some of these people like Kevin Hart's organization
mhm,
and others that I found who are willing to give some of these people an opportunity to be part of their training to apprenticeship. And I don't say internship at all anymore, because I'm trying to now focus on apprenticeship as the new lexicon
mhm,
and all those things that apprenticeship bring into the state of California through the Department of Labor. And I'm learning more about how the apprenticeship models are playing out in the state of California, especially in growth industries
mhm,
and where jobs are being really emphasized as growth. So my goal is to try and bring that science down to folks, I think now in the career center, as you're saying, that could become partners and handing off the baton from those people who are in the database to people I can find to match up with folks who are I'm going to try and ask to commit to taking some of these people on. So that's kind of my method of success, is taking that willingness to find people that believe that this can be achieved. There's several programs or several grants that are doing this work currently right now. And my goal is to try and interface with them in the digital media space, because that's the area that I'm going to try and create some success and some narrow focus on, is digital media. So when I talk about events or activities or workshops or speakers, I'm really talking about people in that space, which I believe is a growth industry. And you don't have to be a writer, director, producer, or in the film, media, career pathways to work in these growth economies. You can be in business, you can be an engineer, you can be in any number of career pathways and still work for a company that is making money in content creation and distribution. So I want to open people's minds to the possibility that we're able to find in multidisciplinary study a way to take folks who have interest in what we're doing to see if we can test it out by finding the talent where they live in your system, which you're seeing now. And I do agree that the career services department is where I probably should be looking to test out whether or not we can, find them in the career services department, or we have to still continue to fish for them wherever we can. So with the time we have remaining, I wanted to ask you the Umoja event that you guys did. How long in advance, or how far in advance did you guys plan that event?
Which event?
The Umoja Summit, February 26th to the 28th.
Oh, you're talking about
I
the
think it was a
Umoja
2 or 3 day event
conference.
that you guys had
So
at the
the
end of Black
statewide.
History Month.
Okay, yeah,
Yep.
just
How
so
long
you know, we
ago
have a lot of
Right.
events.
So how long?
I wasn't sure which one, and we have quite a few summits. We have another one starting on Thursday, so that's why I was like, okay, so you're talking about the
Yeah.
Umoja
Okay.
conference,
Okay. Good.
and that's the
Yes.
annual
How long?
conference
Yeah.
that's coordinated by the Umoja community.
Mhm.
So whenever you see the Umoja community, that's the statewide group.
Mhm.
And they're planning the event and executing. The Umoja programs locally are not involved in the execution or implementation of those statewide conferences. So I could not tell you how far in advance they started planning. I only know when they rolled it out to us. And that wasn't that far in advance. It was actually pretty late this year compared to previous years when we're face to face. When we're face to face, they start planning almost a year in advance, and that's because they have to execute contracts with hotels and all of that. So I do know that they start usually about 9 months before the event, normally. I don't know about this year because of the virtual setting.
Right. Yeah, because I'd love to be able to submit another panel to them for next year, because that was an experiment that unfortunately I wish we'd had a chance to understand what the mission was, so that we could have maybe crafted a panel that better reflected what kind of programming that they were offering to the masses, as opposed to the regional or the campus to campus experience. Because what we're really trying to do is to find out how to move the needle and getting placements, or trying to find out any commonalities that we can gain from our research to figure out what can become a better strategy that again can allow us to do more in our lifetime, because a lot of the people that we're working with, they're really interested in helping, but they can't, how do I say this? They're going to look for audience reach and audience size. If they're going to do anything, we need to have a critical mass of people that we can actually say, hey, yeah, we're interested in what you're talking about. And that's what I'm really trying to bring to them. And I'm doing that now for the California State Universities, for the 23 campuses. So part of what I'm trying to do is to pitch in my proof of principle that I'm doing it for the 23 campuses for the California State Universities that could feed into some of your mission, is to get people ready for four-year transfer within the 23 campuses in the state of California, statewide. And the focus for me right now is, again, the 23 campuses that have digital media, TV and film career pathways. And it's called the California State University Entertainment Alliance.
Okay.
That has a lot of components that I believe you guys already have, which, obviously are faculty and some professional development and potentially some vendors. They're relying a little bit more on the efficacy of alumni association and referrals and those type of things to get people into workforce. But the benchmark for me being able to do anything for them is still being discussed. And the outcome for an event that I'm doing on April 28th is that I'm going to be producing programming, a panel, just one panel, to help to create some messaging for the trustees, the administrators, and faculty, not the students. So I'm going to be talking to leadership, and that's what they want me to address. And I believe that some part of what I'm going to do is then ask, is there a part of the Umoja community that is comprised of leadership that are not just students? Because that may be a way for me to figure out what I can do to drill down from the California State University to the potential leadership in the community colleges of Black folks, something that could become a point of articulation that they say, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Because that's what I'm hoping to do is I really want to have social impact on the students. But at the end of the day, as a consultant, that's not what I think people are going to be coalitioning a lot of events and activities for business to business to decide, well, what are we going to do with all of the problems and the fallout from the pandemic, lost revenue, and really just better ways to increase the outcomes for the students. So let me ask that question again. Is there a layer of faculty and advisors that exist inside of Umoja that we could possibly talk to if we have success after April 28th with the California State Universities?
Yes, it's sort of. So we have, as I mentioned, the Umoja community, the statewide org, operates a little bit separately sort of than we do. Locally, we have an Umoja regional meeting, and that's a meeting of all the Umoja coordinators in in our region. And our region for Umoja is defined differently than it is for the community colleges. But so basically, that meeting is coordinated by our Umoja community regional coordinator. So that's the representative from Umoja community that meets with us regularly. Outside of those meetings, the Umoja community has their own meeting of all the regional coordinators with the executive director. Those meetings, I don't know when that happens. I'm not a part of that, and we don't get involved in that. However, I can say, Kevin, one of the things I think the challenges that I'm finding, and I know exactly what it is you're trying to do, and I think there's definitely opportunity and great value, and our students would benefit a lot if we could get it synced up. But I think one of the things that I'm finding is industry doesn't speak our language. So you guys, in terms of industry, the way that you function and operate is very different than us, and we don't speak your language. And so it's challenging because we are competing with, we are competing for the attention of students all the time on our end. So we don't have a lot of time. As I mentioned to you before, even flyers, like everything we do is very short, quick, and to get their attention and to get them there. So when you talk about critical masses, a lot of times we can't, um, we can't commit that we'll get a lot of students there because we don't know if they'll get there. All we know is that we can market and try to drive them there. Students are driven by incentive, 100%. So if there's not a job or a stipend or, a gas card or, there has to be something tangible for them to really get there in droves. Other than that, we're always going to get the high achievers or the people that are engaged or the people or whatever. But we are very different than the CSUs and the UCs in that when we say something, it's not law. Like, so we can tell a student, you're in this major, you need to come to this workshop, and they can completely blow us off. Whereas at the CSU and the UC level, if they tell the students, you're in this major, you need to go, the students go. So it's very challenging. So I hear what you're saying, and in terms of meeting with Umoja sort of leadership, that is fine and that would be good. But the problem with the leadership in the community colleges, they don't have the students. So the leadership, you can meet with them and you guys can come up with a great plan. And what they're going to do is they're going to reach back to us and tell us, can you get the students there? Can you get the students engaged? Can you get them involved? Because again, they have no leverage with the students. So that's where it's very different.
Well, you mentioned something that, yeah, right. So I'm thinking as a marketeer now, why would anybody value anything if it doesn't really, really motivate them or incentivize them to move beyond where they already are, is the question. And I believe that as consumers, these young people, they can make and determine what has value to them as consumers. And it is, unfortunately, in Southern California, it's influencers. And I've often thought that, yeah, I mean, nobody wants to listen to a lot of people who are talking heads about all the great things that they've done and all the achievements. You got to find people who they can identify as influencers, and you have to be able to offer them some understanding of how they can envision themselves affiliating in some way with that influencer, either on an opportunity or a related message that can provide something beyond, again, advertising, marketing, flyers, whatever. So I truly believe that Kevin Hart's organization has something that they can offer to people who can move people's agendas around. He may be the only celebrity that I found who can walk the talk of finding ways to give people exposure and training to things that they may not ever get at that level, especially in a growth economy. So I'm still going to go back to the point where I believe I have some content connected to an opportunity that can become programming and not just be a one-off, hey, listen to Kevin Hart's organization talk about how great it is to make money, in our comedy media market. I think the training to messaging is something that I want to take another stab at, but I need to find the right group of people who say, yeah, okay, what does that look like? What does that opportunity look like to try to re-engage? Because I did it on a very small level with peers. And I think we had maybe a total of eight, maybe 9 students who were going to be the part of the experiment where I was going to get an inaugural group in. I don't want to try and expose more than what we can handle, but I do want to try to find a better audience for getting more submissions to a opportunity than what we had before. So instead of, going just to Mike Williams, I want to put an application out there. And I want to try to see if we can get, some people interested through an application to see if they have any interest in filling out the application and see what comes back. Because that's what I've done with Santa Monica College. And it was quite an interesting experiment because I didn't offer up Kevin Hart or anything to get the people that I'm now working with at Santa Monica. So I don't want to have to do that campus by campus. I did it with Santa Monica because of a relationship. I knew an instructor, a digital media instructor. So the success that I have right now, I want to scale so that I can find students in all of the campuses in Southern California. Post pandemic, they may be able to travel to the studio or to an event or activity that's connected to Hollywood. So that's what I'm looking for. And, again, it's in preparation, hopefully, for fall semester. So I don't know how many of these people won't be in community college enrolled next year at this time next year, but I'm always planning for the following semester. So application to Southern California venues is probably the best area of matchmaking between Kevin Hart type of programming. And there's other celebrities who are interested in mentoring, but Kevin Hart has a asset that really provides the kind of workforce, I would call it challenge-based learning, that can produce for the students I'm working with a portfolio and getting your hands dirty, getting, exposure to the kinds of things that are currently changing every day.
So Kevin, I have a question for you. Because I'm thinking about what you're saying, and I'm wondering, what do you think about marketing? So I'm thinking about the marketing element again, because that's what it all boils down to get the students' attention and to get them engaged. And I'm wondering, so we have right now, we're planning for our Black graduation, which is our celebration of obviously the Black students that are graduating and finishing up in our district. So it's district-wide. And a part of what we're doing is we're trying to get little messages filmed and stuff of, it's usually people in our district that say, yay, congratulations, graduates, whatever, it's the president from this college or the counselor or the whatever. What about if what about if you were able to get say Kevin Hart or somebody notable, like influencer, like you're saying, to film like a little snippet that says, congratulations, graduates, and if and on to your next opportunity. Why not hear it, Kevin Hart Productions or Hart Productions, whatever, or something like that, like kind of where you could put it in as a message of congratulations, but it's also kind of a little marketing tidbit to say, hey, come and find out about this apprenticeship program. And, because there'll be current students watching the graduation, and there'll also be the graduating students. Because it's online this year. So it'll be on YouTube. So it's a good opportunity to reach a lot of people.
Yeah, well, those are the kinds of things that are baked in to my apprenticeship program, is for the students to learn how to produce this kind of short form media, whether it be 30, 60, 90-second spots or testimonials. But they will be the kind of content that, let's say, the client would ask for. Let's say that you guys were clients, you guys say, hey, well, yeah, we'd like to have Kevin Hart, but at the end of the day, we would then have the students learn from soup to nuts the process of executing the campaign and delivering the spots for the client. But instead of hiring some company to do it, you would be hiring your own students to do it.
Yeah, that's great. But maybe for next year, but for this year, we're already contracted. And so I was just offering maybe a suggestion about how we might be able to get the word out, because again, you're talking about reaching more students, and I'm trying to figure out how do we reach more students more immediately.
Right. Right. And that's a great idea. And I have to say that I'll take that up. But our business model is to try to figure out how to get prepared for next year so that we can try and find the procurers of these contracts to look at
Right.
hiring student power, student
Right.
under the guise of our program is that you're not going to hire Dakar, you're going to hire Dakar students to do the
Right.
work. And
Right.
some of the community college students we're working with at Santa Monica are already 4-year Bachelor of Arts degree students from Cal State Northridge and LA and
Mhm.
gone through the promo pathway program to do this kind of work that, you know, again, you guys have contracted this work out to somebody who may be alumni, but our goal really is to start looking for those contracting opportunities so those students can actually showcase their work as a contract. So, but we're
Yeah, I
interested
totally
in
get
what
that.
could be the specifications. Yeah, what could be the specifications of that could literally be a statement of work that we'd have to do for free, but we're still willing to look at that because it's still a promotional opportunity for my students. So if somebody could, you know, kind of give us a statement of work, then we could possibly deliver those spots. And obviously, if we bring, you know, a celebrity or an advertising element, you know, that has the real value for the spot, you know, maybe we can get it underwritten by a corporation or something. And that's still a way for
Yeah.
us to be able to get our clients, you know, an opportunity to fulfill what the client's needs are, is to not only do the spot, but to bring some value and some influencers that can impact to, you know, the students who, you know, as you say, need to be incentivized. So we're still looking for whatever that is so that we're working on building some momentum. So I'm interested. So if that
Okay, that's Kevin, that's
body,
a separate
or
conversation
you
though.
can give us an opportunity to look at what that. Okay, well, it's for me, I have to find some way of getting the students I'm currently working with to
Mhm.
work on stuff that you just mentioned. How do we get there? How do we get to a place where we can actually say that we can deliver a Kevin Hart in a 30-second
Mhm.
spot? What does that look like? Are we turning it over to the contractor?
I'm sorry, what
Who's
can
going
you
to
repeat
interview
that?
Kevin Hart? Who's going to write the script?
No,
I said, if we develop a marketing
Mhm.
campaign, how do we get involved? How do we get involved with the marketing?
Did you say how do we get involved with the marketing?
That's what we, you know, so if we can find with the marketing campaign to
Okay.
bring for the graduation program. So you
Okay, so
mentioned yeah, so that was
that's
a
not,
very, very
sorry, you're freezing and then there's a delay, so I'm sorry.
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know, something's going on with my internet. So I'm very interested in what we could do to impact the
Uh-huh.
graduation
That's
for
not
this
what I'm
spring
asking.
semester. So how do we get involved with them with that?
Okay, so I want to clarify. What I was recommending was an opportunity to market the apprenticeship, not influence the graduation or have anything to do with the graduation. That was just going to be a vehicle to market the apprenticeship. So if we're talking about getting involved with the graduation celebration, that's a different
Oh,
conversation than marketing the apprenticeship. So I was just offering one way of marketing the apprenticeship
okay.
by Kevin Hart filming, a 30-second, congratulations graduates, and have you heard about our apprenticeship program? If not, you better check in with, fill in the blank. So no
Okay, I
script,
got it. I
no
got it.
no major thing. Yeah. But if you're talking about getting involved with the Black graduation,
So we
hmm, go ahead.
no, I'm saying, yeah, that's that. You know, you made a very clear to me what I think we could do just if we were generating the content towards the program that we're suggesting is an opportunity to market Kevin Hart's organization or any organization. I understand. Okay, that's one clear thread.
Mhm.
But interested in any opportunity to get my students to work,
Okay, so
the ones that I'm currently working with,
so with regard to
community
getting
college.
your students to work, if you're willing to do, like or if you're willing for your students to work on a video or something, or some sort of digital content, say even for the Umoja programs, that would be something that the Umoja program would be interested in. Like I know I would be interested in some sort of digital content. Like our website is terrible because I don't have time to work on it. We have like no videos. So if you're looking for opportunities, we certainly could provide the work, but I don't know if, and we can also get connected. You know, I serve on the Black Graduation Committee. I can certainly plug you in and get that connected for next year and maybe producing the content for that. But that again would be you know, something that we would do well in advance as we start planning Black graduation during the fall semester. So in October.
Okay. Well, and again, that may be the first step, is how we get the students I'm currently working with, community college students, to create some content
Yeah.
where
Okay.
you guys think you need some. And that's what we could task our students to do. Yeah. So, so in summary, if you could give me a list of things that are needs for digital content, then that could be part of our exercise to show the capacity for us to scale in future conversations about things that really can grow for my organization down to my students, and up to some value proposition that we'd like to get to. So
Okay.
if you can think about it, yeah, think about what content can be used, and let's see if we can start to look at that as a project by project basis to start delivering some things. Because I'd
Okay.
love to think that that's the way that we can really test the efficacy of what we have proposed, and everything else I think can shake out.
Okay. I think, yeah, that sounds like a good idea because that's also a great way to spread the word. Because once people see content is being delivered, they're going to want to know, well, who did that for you? Who did that video, or who did that, you know, website or whatever? And then that would be a great way to say, oh, this is a part of, you know, students did this. This is a part of a great apprenticeship program, you know, and that would help to get the college community more aware of what's happening, so that students are constantly referred to, you know, to again to the program.
Yes. Okay. Well, I think we got a starting point. So again, in
Okay.
summary, just tell us where to hurt, and we'll start to look at project by project, website,
Okay.
video, content for meetings, anything to market what you're doing. We can provide
Okay.
some content for.
Okay. So I'll email you then. Excuse me, a list, and then if you think of anything else, let me know. Now, you mentioned in your email something about an April 28th event. Are you looking to have students referred to your April event?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Can you just tell me a little bit about that? And
Well, yes, yes. Well, so this is an event that is being produced um, by the California State University Entertainment Alliance,
right.
specifically digital media, film, TV, and some creative tech. And talking literally about our opportunity is that we're going to produce a panel that's going to feature Kevin Hart's partner, the CEO of his company. And we're going to have community college students working and planning and producing and executing that panel.
Okay.
So what I'd like to do is to make sure that if you're promoting student production, we're giving the audience that we want to tune into our inclusion, and to us producing for our client, the California State University, a panel with the content creation, content execution, and the narrative, because we're also selecting the title of this panel. This is what we can do, is offer some example of awareness and what we plan on doing to offer any other students a chance to work with us as we build relationships with potential clients with the California State University Entertainment Alliance. So the
Okay.
pipeline strategy is that if those students are interested in working with us,
Mhm.
they're going to produce content, but they're also going to meet clients that could potentially lead to some exposure to some of the programming that we hope that will translate from their interest in digital media, film, and
Mhm.
TV to the things that will grow into a relationship that could provide workforce training to
Okay.
placement.
So Kevin, are you wanting for me to recruit students to register or to participate, or what? I'm wondering what's the ask of me?
Well, so the ask at this point, because we're going to have a
Uh-huh.
meeting in about 10 minutes, is
Mhm.
to be on standby. April 20th is not that far away. So I guess if you can look at your calendar to see if there's anything else going on. It's a Wednesday, I believe. Can you look at your calendar? You don't have to do it right now, and see
Mhm.
what's on your calendar for that day, and see if
Mhm.
we can then maybe for the panel that we're producing for Kevin
Mhm.
Hart's organization, it'll
Mhm.
be between 1 and 3 o'clock on that Wednesday, to see if you guys then could actually um, look at putting that on the calendar for things that you could promote, so that you guys can actually take the registration and do what we tried to do with the other event at UCLA,
Mhm.
and see if we can get an audience.
Okay, that's fine.
I think with this one, yeah, with this, yeah, with
That
this,
sounds good. I just would have one request, and a lot of times our students exhibit interest, and they say they're going to register or sign up, and then sometimes they forget or they don't follow through. So it's helpful to me if I know who has signed up at a certain point and who hasn't, because I have, like, for example, the Pulse event, I had a long list of students that said they wanted to go that I gave the registration code to. And then at the end, I don't even know who showed up or didn't. And I'm not sure if any of them registered and showed up. And
right.
so I want to make sure that I'm able to follow up with them and remind them, because that's the other thing that we have to do on our end in order to get them to show up, is literally continuous reminders in
So
order to make sure they show up.
right, and to tell you the truth, I don't know if I can get that information. I'll find out
Okay. Okay.
as I can. But we still haven't even gotten the 1 hour broadcast that we did with Andrea, who says
Okay.
hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
We haven't even seen the rebroadcast or the playback of that 1 hour broadcast. So it's been hard for
Okay.
us to get the content as well as the data.
Okay.
I asked for it because I'd be interested in see if anybody registered.
Mhm.
And again, that's part of the follow through that we have to do, is do more data analysis to find out who showed up and why, and the people who didn't show up, why they didn't. Maybe it's just too challenging at the time. And so
Yeah.
those are the kind of things that we'd like to know more about. What is the what is really what people are valuing now in their academic choices that they have to make. So,
Yeah. I think
but yeah, so
also,
I will
whenever you're,
now, yeah, this
sorry,
yeah,
I was just gonna say, I
this
think,
I, my internet is terrible. I guess, yeah, I can see this thing is unstable internet connection. So I'm hoping I can fix this in the next 5 minutes. But yeah, so please send me any requests for content stuff that we can start looking at,
okay,
and then maybe and I'm only working with a very small team,
okay,
4 community college students and 1 Cal State University
okay,
students, and we can look at one request at a time and see if we can actually work with you to figure out what is the need and how we can service that need
okay,
project by project.
okay. All
So
right, that
I'm
sounds
hoping
good.
that we can actually act as an advertising agency in that regard. Okay.
Okay, yeah,
All right.
that
Thank you,
sounds good.
Dr. Kilinda.
Oh, no problem. Nice to
Okay. I'll
see
look for an
you.
email.
Okay, take care. You'll get one soon.
And I'll get you more information about April 28th.
Okay, all
Okay.
right,
Talk
perfect.
to you later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.